Hey, and welcome to the podcast. This is T.
And this is Mo.
This is where we talk about pop culture and everything that is hot out there right now, which is superhero movies. So today we're going to talk about The Gifted, that one Fox TV show. So the first thing we're going to talk about are characters. So what do you think about all these characters?
Mostly not great. Not really impressed with a lot of the characters. Um, actually, why don't you tell me your overall thoughts of the show?
Well, I think that the show started off kind of weak and then got better. That middle part was, yeah, it had a lull, but like near the end, I really enjoyed it. Like when I say the end, I mean like the first end that they had before like the break.
Mhm.
It felt like they got to a really good point where they told all the plot points and it was just really good. There was not a lot of cheese, and that's what I liked. I was so excited when I watched those, but then when I came back from uh, the break and I watched those 3 episodes that they had there, it just
Mhm.
seemed like they just rushed it, and it just didn't flow, and the stories just didn't really make sense, and like you really hated the characters near the end. Like I had no sympathy for any of the characters, especially the main characters that they had on the show, like especially the Struckers.
Yeah,
Like the female, I was okay, but like the
the mom,
male, the male, like the Andy,
the boy.
yeah,
Okay.
I really didn't like his character. Given I didn't like his character throughout the whole thing, he was never like really good. Like the first episode, he was fine, but they went on a different tangent and made him so weak and emotional, like that he can be controlled by anything.
Oh yeah, no, he did not believe him at all. He was not my favorites. He's actually, I think, on the list of. He's not very low on my least favorite characters, but he's definitely in the least favorite category.
Yeah, like yeah, I just didn't really like how he just didn't like he raged at everything. So he raged when his father was giving him advice, and then he raged again when his sister gave him advice, and he always just flipped out the whole series,
Mm.
and I really did not like that.
Yeah, I don't like he wasn't that relatable. He wasn't that likable. He wasn't that what would you call it? Believable. And that's really and I think that's my problem with like all the my character issues really come down to consistency or the lack of consistency. They're all over the place. Sometimes they act one way, the next episode they act a different way. Like they don't have so much as arcs as they have like just a whole bunch of like whatever the plot needed them to be.
Yeah,
If they needed them to be angry, they're angry. If they needed them to be, afraid, they were afraid. If they needed them to be understanding, they were understanding. But none of it seemed informed by any type of motivation other than, oh, we need to have this plot point now, and these characters, we need some characters to oppose it. Let's have Marco oppose it, even though Marco was acting differently the episode right before, and we didn't see any real change in him or any reason for change, and all of a sudden he's just a different person. So that's my problem with a lot of characters.
yeah. What was that name of the cop? His name
I put him down
was
as Sentinel guy.
yeah,
His name is Jace Turner, but I don't think they really use his name much, so I just call him Sentinel guy.
yeah. Like with him, he was relatable. Like throughout, like you understood. Yeah, this is the reason why he is fighting the mutants, right? This is why he's
Mm-hmm.
working for Sentinel Services. I understood
Mm-hmm.
it. But later in the show, he just got to a point where I didn't really care. I didn't care about anything that he was or he stood for. He just
Yeah, no.
turned to a bad guy, and like what he thought in the first half didn't matter anymore, and it just disappeared. And then now this is how he feels, given like his whole group got shot up, but it was not the fault of the mutants, right? It was just a group, like, well, 3 people.
Yeah, like he was my second favorite character in the show, but not throughout the whole thing. Like at the beginning, he was the most understandable, most relatable. He was actually the best performance. I think he's the best actor in the whole show. And so I really liked him. Well, okay. So everything here is graded on a curve. So I agree with you that the show definitely got a lot better up to when the Cuckoo showed up, and that was like the best moment in the whole show. But at the same time, it's not like it's good for this show. Like my expectation, I was trained to have low expectations from the first, like, I don't know, 7 episodes before they showed up, or 8.
Yeah.
I don't know how many episodes. So when something good finally happened, it felt really great, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Sentinel guy, he was like, I really liked him. Like you said, we understood where he came from. He was very sympathetic, and then at some point they just decided, no, his character doesn't need to make sense anymore. They spent all this time showing him have some sort of remorse, right? Like when the Structors show up to his house and confront him and his wife. That was an excellent scene. I love that scene, actually. And then right after, nothing changed. It's like he had no fallout from that, even though they were setting all of that up, right? He's still an asshole. He's still pushing. He's still like, it seemed like he had some sort of principles at the beginning, but then you realize, no, he doesn't have any sort of principles. He seemed like tough at the beginning, and then you realize, no, he's not tough. The evil guy can just manipulate him and blackmail him really easily, right?
Yeah.
And then he was understanding, and then these cops die, which we've never seen before, and we're supposed to care that they're dead, like they have the whole funeral. But I didn't give a damn. I didn't know who they were, and it wasn't the Mutant Underground's fault. But anyway, his character was ruined in the second half, I believe. The last third.
Yeah. It was the same as Dreamer, that one character. I literally did not care. They didn't give us any backstory. So then when we get to the point where, spoiler alert, they off her, I don't really care about the character because there was no investment in the character. I didn't really care about it. And like they told a little bit how she screwed up with some people's minds, but then they don't even go into that, right? So there was a lot of plot points where they would just say something and then it would just disappear because they just didn't have anything to do with it, right?
Well, I mean, with her, it was more like you said, there's no real investment in that character. She was barely a character, and they, instead of showing us stuff, they would just use exposition. Like, it really annoyed me. There's a couple times where she's like, "Oh, Lorna is my best friend," and then Lorna would be like, "Dreamer is my best friend," and I'd be like, "When did this happen?" Like, they never showed us. Those two barely even interacted. I never got the sense they were friends at all. In fact, they interact less than pretty much everyone else in the underground.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be, and they kept saying, "We're best friends." Like, oh, really? Right?
Yeah.
And then, and they set up her powers as being some sort of like a blessing / curse. You know, she's like, "Oh, you know, my powers are really dark. It's not like just light or magnetic fields and stuff like that. My powers mess with people, right?" And I'm like, oh, okay, they're going to explore that. They're going to explore sometimes your mutant gifts are supposed to be like a dark thing. But no, she never even has that much of a a showdown with Blink. She never really has any real repercussions for what she does. She just dies, and I'm like, oh well, that was a little quick, you know.
well,
Not in the sense of time, but in the sense of character development. Like
yeah, you could
they didn't do it.
say her dying was a repercussion for things she did. You know.
Was it though? Like she didn't die because she used her powers, right?
Oh yeah,
She died because she got kidnapped, right? Like if it was caused by her powers or something because of her powers, but it was just incidental. They just needed the bad guys to trigger the twins, right? That's
yeah.
really was really the only reason she died. So I wouldn't count that as repercussion.
And then there was Thunderbird as the leader of the mutant underground. With
Yeah, he's my
Thunderbird,
second. He's my second least favorite.
yeah, he didn't really do much. He's the leader, but it seemed near the end, every single character was controlled by the Cuckoos. Like, the Cuckoos controlled Andy, the Cuckoos controlled the parents, the Cuckoo controlled most of the underground. Like,
Yep.
they just had
Lorna.
their hands over everything. They controlled everybody. And
Yep.
I wish there was more concrete, like, you know, I'm not gonna let you control me. I think Thunderbird did a little bit, but in the end, it didn't really work out because everyone got, like, most of the main characters switched sides, right?
Oh well, I mean, I think it's interesting if a leader loses control of a group. I think the problem with him is he was just boring. Like
Yeah.
there was there was nothing going on with his character. I think they tried to make like some sort of relationship thing, like a love triangle. But did you buy that love triangle?
No, because they initially started it, and then they had an interaction between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that was near the beginning episodes, like 3 or 4. And then they said nothing. Nada.
Yeah.
Until the season finale, where they just kind of like, oh, hey, I'm here to talk to you. And it was so awkward. You know?
Who?
Like,
Him and Blink?
yeah, him and Blink. They just
Well,
went
even before him and Blink, there's supposed to be him and Dreamer. And again, I didn't buy that at all. Like they also didn't interact that much, and their whole thing like, oh, I'm the leader now. I can't really be in a relationship with you. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, that's fine, but like I'm not. I don't believe it just because you say it. So I think maybe that's again, Dreamer. Dreamer as a bad character is spilling over into John Proudstar as a bad character, Thunderbird, because no chemistry, no real scenes between them, and then it's supposed to be a big deal that him and that Blink has this one-sided relationship with him in her mind.
Yeah.
It was not interesting. It was super boring. What about his friend, the guy he went his Marine friend?
Well, yeah, his Marine friend, you hear a lot more about him because they do a backstory about him. But
They did one scene. They did one scene where some people attacked them for raising money for veterans or something like
Yeah.
that.
I
That-
liked him more. I like
Really?
Yeah, I like the side characters more than the main, because the side characters were like, oh, this is why I did it, and you know, this is what we did, and then they die, but I still like them. Like the father of the Struckers. What did you
Oh.
feel? Like, I liked him. I like, you understood why he did it, but that he died. But which in this show, it is every trope of like Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
If you have a character, they tell a little bit of a backstory. Yeah, that character is gonna die.
So the dad's powers were fire, right? He
Yeah.
makes fireballs. Okay. Okay. So my third least favorite character is the Strucker dad, and he's like the main character of the show.
Yeah.
Or he's at least the character that is supposed to weave all the different parts of the cast, right?
Yeah.
So he knows how it is to be human. He knows how it is to be part of the underground. He knows outside of the underground. He knows how to be the inside of the underground. He knows what it's like talking to the Sentinel guy. Like he's part of every single story in the show, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like he wasn't as boring as John Proudstar, but he also wasn't that interesting. Like his wife was way more interesting. The mom,
Yeah.
I liked her. She's my third favorite character in the show after the Cuckoos and Sentinel guy. But the dad, he seemed a little forced, right? He seemed like he was just shoehorned in places.
Yeah. I actually didn't really like the Struckers at all. They were the main characters,
Yeah,
but I didn't like them. The interaction between, like, the father and the mother and the kids, I just didn't really believe it. Well, the father and the mother, they kept doing things and stopping their kids from doing things,
yeah,
which would affect the story, right? And they kept doing it. They kept doing things against, like, the group, against the mutant underground. Like, they left once, and then they left the second time, and they keep doing that over and over and over again.
There's a lot of things they repeat over and over again.
Yeah, like, I think through the whole story, especially the mid part, they kept stretching things. So they would take stories and they would just stretch it and they would repeat, and I feel like they just didn't know what to do at that point. There were just some episodes where it was just filler before the actual story.
Well, I don't know if it's filler. So I think sticking with the Strucker family, I almost want to give the show credit for trying to make a family of superheroes on the run work, right?
Yeah.
Because most shows don't do that. Most comics and shows, they don't do like a whole family struggling on this together. And the reason they don't is because it's very hard, right? It's hard to make it interesting. It's hard to make it believable because the parents would always want to protect the kids. The kids would always want to go outside those boundaries. It's hard to make that interesting. And they tried it, but they didn't crack the code. You know, weren't able to make it interesting because a lot of times you just be like, oh, how many arguments are they going to have about the kids wanting to do something and the parents not wanting to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, like maybe bonus points for trying it, but there's a reason why people don't do it because it's hard.
Yeah.
Or maybe not possible.
I still believe that next season with Reed Strucker, the father,
Yeah.
he's gonna get addicted to that drug that those what were the enemies where they combined the power?
Oh, okay.
Do you know remember the name?
The
Where they
The-
like fuse the hands.
hounds.
The hounds, yeah. And they have that drug that they're addicted to.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he is going to be addicted to that drug so that
And
he can
become
get
brainwashed?
no, so that he can get some of his powers because it activates powers,
Oh.
right? So he's gonna
Did that drug activate powers?
yeah, that drug activated powers, and they just get hooked on it.
I didn't think it activated powers. I thought it just brainwashes them.
Yeah, it brainwashes them, but they also get hooked on it because it gave them more like heightened abilities.
Oh, sorry, I must have missed that because I actually don't remember them doing that. But no, if that's the case, yes, because they want that character to be involved in everything in the story, right?
Yeah.
Like I bet he's going to be involved with those religious people. What are they called? the anti mutant religious people that Blink was running away from. I bet he's going to be involved with them. He's going to be involved with the Hellfire Club. He's just going to be stuck in every single corner of the show.
The pacifiers.
The pacifiers, that's what they're called. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But you know, okay. So I think my main issue with the characters is that there are just too many characters, right?
Yeah.
Like the show, like you have way. Look at this. You have four Struckers. You have Eclipse and Lorna. You have what's his name, Sentinel guy. You have Blink. You have Proud Star. You have there's not a big character, not a big character. So you have 9 main characters. So that's 9 characters with a lot of screen time. And then later on in the season, the Cuckoos, let's call them one character. That's a 10th character, and they're main. And I think they're all main characters. They're not. None of them are side characters.
Yeah.
So 9 to 10 main characters. You have to be a very skilled at plotting a season's worth of stories, and I don't think they were up to the challenge for this one.
Yeah, I do agree with you. So let's right now list all of the characters that we have from like favorite to least favorite, and I'm pretty sure our list is going to be the same.
Okay, go for it.
So number 1, most interesting character, the Cuckoos.
Yep.
They were really cool. Just near the end, all the characters kind of like wavered off, and so did these characters.
Oh, yeah.
Second was Jace Turner. I actually
Sentinel
really,
guy. Yep.
yeah, I really liked him, but he just, I didn't like some of his things that he did near the end. Sage. She,
Oh,
like,
the tech girl.
we didn't hear a lot about her, but she was cool. She was a cool character.
I don't know. She was a little judgy. Something I'll mention in the storylines in cheesy area. But
Yeah,
no, she's not on my list of good or bad. She was just there.
yeah. Lorna, she's right in the middle.
Actually, yeah. Actually, before we even get to that, I put the Strucker mom as my third favorite. She's interesting. She had a lot of agency, and it felt natural when she was in places as opposed to her husband, who was just shoehorn and everything. But yeah, Lorna. I put both Lorna and Marco in the middle because I want to like them. I like them a lot of times, but sometimes it just don't make sense.
Yeah. Like, Lorna was upset that Marco went to the cartel to get some help.
Because
And
it was
then,
too dangerous, right? She's like, "You're being reckless." It's like,
yeah,
wait, which one of you is supposed to be reckless? And which one of you is supposed to be the practical one, right?
yeah. So then he's like, I had to do this. She gets mad and then accepts it. And then
Yeah.
in the end,
Yeah.
gets angry and does things that are reckless for
Yep.
the family.
Yep.
And so she just is like a hypocrite kind of thing. She
Well,
does.
Marco's the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like they're both just inconsistently written. It's too bad because they're like I like the actors and I want to say I like the characters, but they're just too inconsistent.
Yeah. And then for the bottom for me are the Struckers, and the bottom is Dreamer. I really did not like Dreamer at all. I just
Same
didn't
thing.
like her powers, and I just didn't like her being in the story. Really, it didn't really push. Like, there were some parts that like added to the story,
Yeah.
but it was there to be like, Blink and this character, let's put them together, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. She's the very bottom.
Yeah. So what was on your list?
Oh, Oh, it's pretty much the same as yours. I commented on the differences, but that's the same list for me.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Andy, I did not like him at all.
Yeah, he'd be in the bottom. Like he'd be part of the bottom.
Yeah, there was just so many parts in that show where they were just trying to help him out, and then he's just like, "No, I don't like
Hmm.
that," and just rage. And he would just have like random raging moments. I know he's a teenager, but it's
Yeah,
just you watch the show and then it's all of a sudden, oh, I have this huge problem. Da 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 da. The sister was more level-minded and
absolutely,
tried to keep things together, but the brother just didn't want any of it.
absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing we'll talk about is the story and the cheese.
You know, I didn't even. It wasn't the cheese that bothered me. I didn't think the show was too cheesy. I mean, it was, but that wasn't the main issue. The show is just too grim. It's just the tone and the look. Everything is just sad and depressing. There's never any hope. Like you don't have to have happiness, but there's no hope. Everything just looked bad. Uh, and especially if you're talking about the greater continuity or the comics or the movies, if this is supposed to lead into the Sentinel future, that means everything they're doing is hopeless anyway. The Sentinels are going to win. So I just it was just no fun. Everything's just bleak. Everyone's just unhappy. Everything's just bad. The whole world looked like dark and Greek and grim and just horrible.
Yeah. Do you know what I was also expecting around like the when they took the first break during Christmas? I was
Hmm.
expecting a Christmas episode. Every show has this random Christmas episode where they have like kind of like a flashback and they're like, this is the flashback and Christmas time where we are together as a group kind of thing. But they didn't do that.
But the show is supposed to take place in upstate New York, right?
Yeah.
Like near where the X Men are.
Yeah. Which
So
leads
it would have been winter.
yeah.
And then yeah, the a Christmas episode would have really lightened things up.
It would because everything was like go 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 and very depressing. It's like a
Hmm.
difference from watching that and The Runaways, which is an amazing show, or like The Flash, not The Arrow because The Arrow is very bleak. Um,
I like the Arrow. I watched like 4 seasons of the Arrow.
yeah, but it's just
It eventually got really bad. It got unwatchable for me.
yeah,
But I watched 4 seasons of this, and I'm only going to watch 1 season of The Gifted.
yeah. I
And I'll be honest. I only watched it because we were watching it together.
yeah.
I
I was
think I would
so
have dropped it by episode 1. I think
yeah, I was so excited. Like when
you
watching
were.
it, and you're like, I don't believe in your opinion. I don't believe it's going to be a bad show. So then it got better, and I was like, yeah, like I remember at the end of episode 10, I was like, yeah, this was a good show. I liked it. I liked the characters. Yeah, there's a little bit wrong with it, but I loved it. And you're like, it's okay. I'm like,
I'll be honest. Your positivity was infectious. That's the only thing that made me watch all of it. But from the beginning, I was like, "This is garbage." I really didn't like it.
yeah, it got good, and like last episode of last year, episode 10, that was a really good episode. I really liked it. It hooked me in. It was like a ramping curve, and I was like, woo! And
Yeah,
then
the
they took
Cuckoos
a
killed it.
break,
Yeah.
and it just went downhill from there. That
Well,
one
that's the
episode,
standard. The
yeah,
standard of the show is very low. They just had one high point. But if I was to if someone was to ask me, should I watch the show? I would say no because that one moment is not really worth 13 episodes of a show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we were kind of tired. That's why I thought it was so exciting. I watched 10 episodes in one day, but
One day, that was
yeah,
quite the marathon.
yeah.
But But anyway, other storylines or other things about it. What I didn't like is the mutant underground.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be this place of like we're not supposed to judge each other. The past is the past. But my God, they're so judgy. When it came to that Spanish kid, the Mexican
Yeah.
kid, wow, wow, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why you like he was because he got kicked out of his house as a teenager. He had to do some things to survive, and because he didn't tell you that, all of a sudden they're gonna kick him out and send him to another underground place. The family gets super judgy. His girlfriend gets super judgy. Like I thought that was really weird. Like you're supposed to make us, it made me really hate the underground. Like they're a bunch of hypocrites.
And the moment they found out that Blink was part of the Brotherhood,
Mhm.
judging, and
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Like
yeah,
their whole philosophy doesn't really make any sense. Outcasts, we can't follow within the law, but if specific people broke the got joined groups that broke the law, then all of a sudden the plot needs us to care about this. It really felt like a how can we add some conflict into this relationship? Oh, let's give him like a backstory. But then they completely forgot that the whole point of the underground was to have a second chance, right?
yeah,
But anyway, I thought that was real dumb, and uh, the show is so forced. Everything is really really forced. The other thing that I had a big problem with was like in theory, it's a nice idea that one of the big themes of the show is you can combine powers and become stronger, right?
yeah,
Two are stronger than one. I think that's an interesting idea. I don't think it's something they've ever done in the X Men before. So at least this is something that the show could be like. We did it different. We're not just recycling old things from the comic or the old shows or the old movies, right?
yeah,
We're gonna do something on our own. So again, I want to give them credit for that, but I don't think they executed it very well,
yeah. So the next
right?
thing, yeah. So
Like it was like the little mechanism that they have to hold hands and mix blood. That was awkward looking. It looked really dumb. Like if these two people have to walk around holding those things, it's not very interesting to look at. And um they spend a lot. It felt like Dragon Ball Z. They spend a lot of time ramping up to the twins using their powers,
yeah,
and I think that was too much time. And then the whole like they depowered everybody so that when Polaris gets pregnant, she all of a sudden her powers increase, and now she has like regular level powers.
yeah,
I don't know, like the combining powers. The only time I liked it is when Polaris and Eclipse they used their powers to create an Aurora Borealis. I think that was pretty sweet and pretty cool.
yeah. I actually do agree with you on that. With Polaris, she's such a strong character because she's the daughter of Magneto, right? So she's really strong. Magneto is really strong, as you can see through all those movies. He's
Yeah.
really strong, and then they just have her in this show, which she's not that strong. And I just
Mm.
feel like they just didn't have the budget or something because the characters felt weak.
Totally felt weak. Like Blink's powers are weak. Her powers are weak. What is his name? Marco Eclipse. His powers are super weak. But at least they did combine powers. Like they're almost there. Like I almost want to say they did it. I like that the twins get to use their powers together. I like that sometimes like he bounces his lasers off of a mirror that she angles up, right? But at the same time, I'm so used to the X Men having strong powers, right? That it's kind of lame that they're also weak.
Yeah, and this which leads into our next thing we're gonna talk about, which is name drops. They kept doing it, and for people who don't know the comics, they're not gonna know who they are.
Hmm.
So one big thing is throughout the whole series they kept name dropping the X-Men. X-Men,
Yep.
X-Men, X-Men. And
Yeah.
then the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
But it's just a name. It just wasn't really, yeah. I think it was just like something they can talk about, right? So they're like, oh, the X-Men put us here to
Hmm.
do this. And they kept saying that throughout the whole series.
They did, and I felt cheated because I'm like, stop bringing up the people I like. They're never going to show up in the show,
Yeah.
so stop teasing me.
Yeah. And then they did that huge tease, which I don't know if a lot of people saw, but when they get, the medallion, it's like, your father would have wanted you to have this, be like your father, kind of thing. And it's like,
You
well,
know,
it's
they
Magneto.
might have Magneto. They might have Magneto, right? They'll put him in like one episode, in a flashback or something like that. But again, like I don't want like a Magneto cameo, right? Like you keep talking about the X Men and the Brotherhood, like they're main characters, that they're important people in the universe. But I'm never gonna really see the X Men together, right?
Yeah.
You might have one like third tier X Men, like maybe Morph will show up. You know Morph from the TV
Yeah.
show because
That'll
his
be pretty
powers
cool.
are all right. They'll have him show up, but they won't. They'll never have like Cyclops, Beast, and Storm. Like I feel cheated. Like I don't like that they keep name dropping it. Um, yeah,
I don't
and
actually think they're going to have Magneto in this show, though, because he's in all the movies, and I don't think they're going to have him in, but they could. Like CW with Supergirl, they
yeah,
had, like,
Superman.
Superman showed up. So they
Yeah,
could do it, but
yeah.
I, I, I don't know. I
I'll
don't
be
know if
honest.
they should.
The X Men continuity has never been straight in any version of the show,
Yeah,
right? Or the comic, right? So like comics, the movies, the TV shows, it's never very streamlined.
yeah,
So they can do it. I don't think they have the budget to have the X Men as a team there or the
yeah,
Brotherhood of Mutant as a team there. They might have like little flashbacks and stuff like that, little teases, which I don't know. It goes from not important to annoying for me,
yeah.
especially when you just characters just say something very unnatural, and it's like, why did you say that? Like when the bad guy, I forgot the bad guy's name, but when the bad guy says, "Oh, we found this very interesting metal out in some sort of bunker." Hint, hint. Weapon X. Hint, hint. Like it felt like way out of. Uh, it didn't feel natural.
Yeah. Like that part where, oh, like in most continuity, they say that there's not a lot of adamantium. It's a very rare metal. But
Yeah.
then they grabbed all that metal and coated a whole room in it. I'm like,
Yep.
was there that much? Because if you made a room of it, then
Then
you
you can
have a
you can do an
lot of
army.
it.
You can do an army of soldiers covered in it.
Yeah,
You can make. Why would you make a room instead of weapons? You
it,
know what I mean?
I know it just doesn't make sense. You could make another like X-23, X-24 or something like that, like
Yeah.
different Wolverines. But no, what you decided to do was make a square box so that you can keep people in it.
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. That was lame.
Yeah. So the last thing we're gonna talk about is if this show has any staying power. Are you gonna watch it for the second season too?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. After the first season, after how it stopped, I don't think that I want to watch anymore.
I'm surprised. I thought you'd want to continue, like, um, because I think you enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
I did, but that last three episodes just was too long for me, and it just didn't. It wasn't exciting anymore. If they
Mm.
ended
When
off
you got
on
a
ten,
taste of when you got a taste then you're like, oh, now I want this all the time.
Yeah, like when I tasted 10, like 10 was really good. And then
uh,
you gave me 11, 12,
garbage.
13.
Which were actually not as bad as 1 through 8 or whatever, 1 through 9. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the beginning was pretty rough.
Yeah, but it's a like this show is a roller coaster of emotion. I wanted to stop at the peak. I don't want to stop at the bitter bottom. You know?
The episode 10 would have been a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. If you stopped at 10,
I would
perfect.
have watched season 2. If we stopped
Yeah.
at 10, I would have watched season 2.
Yeah. So I think that's the end of the podcast.
Right
And
on.
but for everyone listening out there, should they watch this or no?
Nope.
No.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah. I don't think you should watch it. You should watch something else like The Runaways, which is really good. And we'll probably talk about that in the future.
Yeah, maybe in the future. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's way better than the show.
Yeah. Okay. This is T, and this is
This is Mo.
okay, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye.